championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Andersen. Race fans, the road to Indy and the IndyCar paddocks said goodbye to one of our friends this past week when Derek Dong of Performance Friction lost his long battle with kidney disease. Derek was a fixture in our sport and a consummate professional. Derek was dedicated to his craft and was well known for his incredible technical knowledge and his kind and welcoming demeanor. We'll certainly miss his presence in the paddock and on pit lane. And if you will, please join us for a moment of silence in honor of Derek's long life and a life well lived. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We do appreciate it. Derek, again, a big part of our program at the Road to Indy and in the IndyCar series as well, part of PFC, and was just a guy that was always on pit lane, always there to help, so much technical knowledge. And we do thank you for taking the time with us to be able to honor his life and his contributions to motorsport. Again, drivers getting themselves set to go here. We're just moments away from firing things up and getting the drivers to light the fires to get these engines underway. 26 racers on the very first rung of this Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. This is the future of the NTT IndyCar Series. Oliver Askew, Renus VK, the drivers that have worked their way all the way from USF 2000 and somehow found their way into the NTT IndyCar Series, leveraging the scholarships along the way. And right now, these drivers coming after that weekend at Barber Motorsports Park, their first trip here to the streets of St. Petersburg. I think even more with any of the categories here on the Road to Indy, USF 2000, we always have the differences between the sophomore drivers and the rookies coming in. Some really good rookie performances in qualifying. Billy Fraser, the Toyota Racing Series driver out of New Zealand for Exclusive Autosport in the Cambridge Global Payments Machine, number 91. He's going to start in the 8th position. Miles Rowe for Force Indy. A couple of top 10 qualifying runs for Miles in the number 99. He'll start 9th position. Spike Kohlbecker as well out of St. Louis in the Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports entry. Spike, really solid run out of the gate. A lot of great fans here as well around the track that are big Road to Indy fans. So we're going to give a shout out here right now, ladies and gentlemen, to Kat Nickel. Happy birthday, Kat. We know that you're here trackside with us, and I know that you're a huge fan of everything that happens with the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. So, again, happy birthday to Kat Nickel. Hope you enjoy the weekend, and engines have fired. We are getting set to roll off. First race of 6 you'll see in the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires against these young drivers, anywhere from 15 to about 20 years of age. Each and every one of them with a focus on winning that scholarship, which will give them the funding they need to move to the Indy Pro 2000 program, then to Indy Lights, then maybe one day the NTT IndyCar Series. Field is rolling. Again, Brooks and around Garrido, row 1. DiOrlando and Green, row 2. Sooner, Murley, and Porto, row 3. Pearson and Fraser on row 4. Rowe and Campbell, row 5. It's Kohlbecker alongside Denmark on row 6. Bejoy Garg and Thomas Naveau, row 7. Michael Myers and Andre Castro, row 8. Peter Bodanovich and Dylan Christie on row 9. Eric Evans and Eli Navarro, row 10. Evan Stammer and Trey Burke, row 11. Jackson Lee and Kent Vaccaro on row 12. And Grant Palmer alongside Nolan Siegel on row number 13. Joining me in the booth here, those of you tuning into the Road to Indy TV app or USF2000.com or roadtoindy.tv, Todd Lewis, the voice of the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Todd, you've watched these races before. We know what happens in USF 2000. They come out at turn 14. We all hold our breath, and we hope they get to turn 3 unscathed.
And most of the time we have seen interesting happenings coming into corner number 1. It's funny you mention that because in some of the other series, the higher rungs on ladders and drivers with more experience and a lot more track time have a lot of difficulty getting themselves through corner number 1. But we have also seen at this track, and the Portland Grand Prix, for instance, is another good example where there's an interesting start to the race. The USF 2000 cars find their way through without too much difficulty. So, yes, everyone will hold their breath and hope that it works out this way.
Here's your starting grid once again. Christian Brooks and Matt Rangarillo, the 2 Exclusive Autosport teammates, will be on the front row. Michael DiOrlando and Josh Green on row number 2. Crucial here, and Parker Thompson and I talked about it in the pre-race show. Drivers further back. They see that opening down to the bottom of turn one. Everybody else wants to go wide to stay on the grip. They see the opening, and man, I can pass there. When you get down to that dirty part of the racetrack, it is trouble. You got to get on the brakes earlier, not near as much grip. That's where we've seen incidents in the past. Drivers coming out now of turn number 14. It'll be crucial for Christian Brooks to get the jump on his teammate Matt Round-Garrido. They'll get into what they have the staging lanes. They'll have to wait for these lines for the Road to Indy drivers. They're almost to the first punch-off zone. Anytime he wants to go, he's got it. And there we go. Green, green, green. Good start for Christian Brooks. Matt Round-Garrido trying to hold the spot away as well. The drivers will work their way down. Green flag flying from Aaron Likens at start-finish. Down for the first time. Brooks through cleanly. Drivers doing a good job so far. Those further back in the pack giving each other room. Nicely done. One driver around. That is one of the drivers, I believe, for the Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports team. We'll see if he's able to refire. Otherwise, everybody through turns 2 and 3. Here's the next one here. Big dive bomb move down the inside. You got to give room to the drivers in front. Let's see if they can get through cleanly. Thus far, USF 2000 drivers doing a great job on this opening circuit. That's the key. Can you get through that opening lap clean? Good so far. Christian Brooks out front in the exclusive Autosport machine. I think Matt Round-Garrido able to hold on to that second position. One driver off further back in the pack going through the runoff, but a yellow flag. Oh, big wreck here. Trey Burke, Eric Evans, Kent Vaccaro. That's going into turn number 4. A bunch of drivers getting aggressive, and that is not how you want to start the weekend here. Trey Burke unbuckling. He's fine. I don't think you're going to see anybody hurt here at all. This is just strictly damage. Those drivers got into each other. You can see the same damage. Left front, wings. Tough way to get started there. Todd, just the issue going into turn number 4, and that's deeper in the field. That was well back, the back quarter of the field.
That's the difficulty that you talked about, is that the accordion effect plays out. Everybody seemed to get through and snake through reasonably well in corner number 1. We did have that one car get turned around, and it looks like we're okay, but it's the accordion effect as you continue through. Things tighten up again in corner number 4, and guys will try to use the inside of the track there as well.
I'm hoping we're going to be able to get a shot at the replay here, because this is very likely going to be someone getting on the brakes a bit early, everybody else piling into the back. Here they come through. Oh, no, that's actually drivers trying to get tight on the inside. That was the number 9 of Jackson Lee. Look at the ride there. Big ride for Kent Vaccaro up sideways. And that was that guys just getting together, trying to come down into the braking zone of turn number 4. And, yeah, let's have a look at the real time, folks. This is going to be quick when you see it come through here. Yeah, you can see getting pinched. Eric Evans coming down on the inside. They try to come through the corner there. And that was just, indeed, Eric Evans was there. And then you see Jackson Lee to the inside, pinched there. And then that was just a chain reaction. He went over top, nowhere to go. They went to the outside of the racetrack. And really, Kent Vaccaro really just nowhere to go.
Much like you talked about with the tantalizing opening going into corner number 1 down the inside, you see that heading into corner number 4 here on the streets of St. Petersburg as well. It will open up a little bit on the inside. You'll have an opportunity to move out perhaps, but you have to get that car slowed down, especially heading into corner number 4 if you're going to make that hard right-hander.
And I will say this, I'd said that was turn number 4. That wasn't. That was actually back in the 8-9 combo, I believe. I think they were trying to kind of roll into that corner, and that, I believe, right between 8 and 9. Indeed, yeah, there so you can see the corner right there. So tough one for the drivers here. That's Trey Burke. He's not happy at all. He was trying to have a good run here. Eric Evans got the helmet on still. Other drivers involved. Nolan Siegel, the number 10. He was trying to get through cleanly. As I said, I said Jackson Lee, and I apologize for those of you listening in and watching. That was Pete Vodanovich in the number 9. Yeah, I'd like to see this one more time if we possibly can. We'll try to pick it up, and we'll go slow-mo with this one. It was Vodanovich down to the inside of that corner, and then we saw the incident here with Eric Evans. Really, it's just everybody trying to go after a certain amount of spot. You can see the camera panning. This is coming out at turn number 6 and 7 over to turn number 8. You can see Lee. Jackson Lee actually scooted on the inside, as did Grant Palmer. Almost through was the other one of the D-Force cars. Trying to figure out who that might have been involved. There's another one of the D-Force calls got caught in there as well. Wow. And, Todd, it happened so fast. Like literally, these drivers just trying to find open racetrack, and once it happens, that's the narrowest part of this racetrack as well. When I did the track walk, that was the part where I went, wow, it's narrow down here.
26 cars trying to snake their way through on lap number 1. Tires have not reached their optimum temperature yet. This is the first race of the weekend for these drivers. For some of them, it's their first experience on street courses with concrete walls around them, and it's a difficult challenge navigating your way through, especially as the course narrows down quickly in a couple of parts, whether it's corner 4, corner 8, where this incident occurred. The course narrows down, and you have to tiptoe your way through and give each other a little bit of room. You can see a little bit of an opening, but you have to remember that the corner comes up quickly and have to be able to make that turn.
And the driver involved in turn number 1 who got looped around was Evan Stammer. I saw that the safety team was with him. I don't know if they refired Evan to get him back on track. I think someone got potentially into the back of Evan coming into turn number 1, whether or not there was damage. And my thought then is the driver maybe had some issues up front in that particular corner. Was there damage on the car of Eric Evans, or was there damage potentially on the car of Pete Vodanovich, maybe getting into the back of Evan Stammer there? I'm not quite sure. We'll see whether or not they're able to continue. 2 laps in the books. Drivers out so far: Peter Vodanovich, Eric Evans, Evan Stammer, Trey Burke, Kent Vaccaro, and Nolan Siegel. Nolan, of course, as we said, was not feeling well, did not qualify in race number 1. That put him to the tail of the field, put him right in the middle of that chaos there. He qualified on pole at Barber. Didn't have to worry about that.
The emphasis of qualifying illustrated there. If you can't get through and get a good starting spot, you put yourself in a more perilous position towards the back of the field. Up front, it remains pretty much status quo through the early going. Christian Brooks started on pole. Matt Roundgarito outside on number 1. I wonder, too, if those 2 teammates had a conversation about the start of this race. It seemed like Christian Brooks got ahead. They were able to settle in and go through corner 1, 1, 2, and get themselves smoothly out in front of the field. Michael D'Orlando remains in 3rd. Josh Green, Yuvan Sundaramurthy, the top 5.
What I don't like about this is it's robbing these guys of really crucial race time at this particular facility. You can see that the cars are all still there. AMR safety team coming in with the hooks to try to get these guys out of the way, try to get things cleared back up again. Still, that incident, as we said, just over into the turn number 8-9 complex. They're going to do their best to try to get those cars cleaned up and rolling. Otherwise, we are going to circulate around here under the yellow, and we're losing green flag time. Christian Brooks, as you said, though, really solid start. Punched off early. For the drivers of the road to Indy, we have a couple of boards lined up on the outside of the racetrack, the RTI boards. You'll see as they work their way up. That's the start of the zone where they can go green, and really it's all up to the pole sitter. So Christian Brooks, he could roll them all the way to the tail, but the key here with this long straightaway for him, his mindset, the minute I got to it, punch it off and go. And we may be going red flag potentially to bring these drivers into pit lane and hold them so that we can get all these cars, because it's so narrow in that particular part of the racetrack, we can't get all the cars out there to get them rolling. So I think they'll probably bring these cars in, park them on pit lane right now, and then really go to work and get these cars cleaned up. That's 4 cars are lined up there. We need to get the trucks in there to get those cars off track.
That will expedite the process. It will also keep the cars sitting on pit road and not ticking away laps. There's a time limit as well, and ideally, if they can clean those cars up a little more quickly without the worry of cars circulating around the track, they'll be able to give these drivers more green flag racing time once they do get the racetrack cleared. So a good call by the Road to Indy crew.
Indeed, Todd. 20 laps or 40 minutes. Obviously, our lap time's down, in the low 111s, 112s. So we should be able to get all the laps in the books. And indeed, great call to bring them in. That way we get the drivers to have as much track time as possible. You can see a lot of the teams rolling down there now from their pit carts, getting to their drivers at the front. They're bringing the umbrellas to try to keep them cool. Because as we know, very warm here today, super comfortable, 79 degrees trackside. A little bit of a breeze coming off the bay, but humidity's there. It's a warm one here today, and these drivers, of course, bolted in. We want to make sure we give them a little bit of shade to keep them cool before we go back to racing.
Now, hopefully, with the cars stopped along pit lane, they'll get the steps tow trucks out there. They'll be able to get these cars picked up and moved out of the way quickly. That's the other difficulty, is with their tangled together, they can be able to pull them apart now and get those safety crews working without have to worry of the other cars passing around. You can see how narrow the track is at that portion. Just, a couple of cars wide. It's hard to even squeeze 3 cars alongside.
Yeah, you can see they've already got the hooks lined up to our roll hoops there. You can see the little the nylon hook there. They'll just grab it, pick it up, and bring it in. These cars are fairly light, pretty easily to bring in here. AMR safety crew making sure everything's dialed in and ready to go. A lot of damage to these cars. And, hey, one of the things to remember, we haven't brought it up yet, These guys raced this afternoon as well, so anybody with damage, they've got to get these cars back. They're going to be tearing them apart and getting back going again.
This is the challenge of a kind of compressed race schedule. The USF 2000 series had the practice and qualifying all done yesterday, and it is back-to-back races today. A few hours in between, of course, but you mentioned by the time they get these cars back, dissect what the problem is, get the cars apart, and then bolt on the new parts, that time is going to elapse very quickly. These teams are going to be very busy over the next few hours. Actually, it would be a great time if you're wandering around the festival grounds here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg to watch these teams work a little bit on these cars in the paddock area.
Yeah, less than 4 hours before they've got to get themselves back to the false grid, which is the back part of this racetrack. And indeed, if you're a race fan, I know you can't get into the IndyCar paddock right now. Obviously, they have their bubble, but you can come over and join us at the Road to Indy. Come across the bridge just after turn number 2. You can walk your way all the way through the entire paddock. The MX-5 Cup cars are back there as well. The Stadium Super Trucks. You just got to work your way around and all the way down the back straightaway. Again, getting a good look at the guys from Steps Towing coming in, and there's 2 trucks right there. We're going to get both of these cars lifted up and balanced correctly. They'll tie the front end back down as well. You can see again, we talked about this yesterday, the value of having the AMR safety team here. Not only are they fantastic in an emergency where a driver could be injured because they're all licensed firemen, EMTs, whatever it may be. Also, they know how to clean up an incident quickly. They take care of our race cars. And there's probably around maybe I'm going to say $12,000 or $13,000 of the front wing right for you. It's expensive, these race cars, as people know. And they'll get those in the back, and hopefully the guys will be able to get things dialed in.
Look how much quicker they're able to get these cars out of the way, pulling the tow trucks up. As you mentioned, the AMR safety team, they understand this is the type of incident that we've had. Here's how we hook it up,
exactly.
Get it out of here quickly, and then they'll sweep the area for any debris to make sure there's no body parts or debris sticking out on the road, and then we'll get this track back green again and open for the USF 2000 cars to compete.
So again, Christian Brooks started on pole, the Californian for Exclusive Autosport. He and his teammate Matt Round-Garrido out of England, P1 and P2 on the start. They hold on to those positions. Michael D'Orlando did not put that much pressure on Matt Round-Garrido. Didn't want to kind of chance it, I think. Able to slide into P3. Josh Green into the 4th position. Yuven Sundar-Murthy in 5th. Billy Fraser started 8th, gets a couple spots on the opening lap. He goes from 8th up into the 6th spot. Kiko Porto holding on to 7th. 8th is Josh Pearson. 9th, Prescott Campbell. Prescott started in 10th. He's 9th now. Miles Rowe dropping down a couple of spots from 9th into the 11th spot. Spike Kolbecker in 12th. Bejoy Gard 13th, or 12th rather. Dylan Christie in 13th. Michael Myers in the 14th position, gains a position. And again, as we said, the incident starting deeper back in the field. Drivers that were involved there, Peter Vodanovich and Eric Evans, they were 17th and 19th at the start. Evan Stommer out early. Trey Burke started 22nd. He got involved in that. Kent Vaccaro got involved as well. Grant Palmer able to slide through in the number 90. He moves up Palmer from 25th up into the 18th position. So those who were able to avoid the incident on the inside coming out big there. Jackson Lee, of course, 23rd up to 17th.
That's the other element that plays out at the start of this race when there is a double file start and the green flag is in front of you. It is one of the best opportunities to gain position as well, and you want to be in position to take advantage of that. If there is an opening ahead of you, you're up close to the car in front of you, wanting to be able to maneuver around and gain a position or 2 or 5, whichever you're able to do, that also works against you, and as it has in this case.
Well, and that's the scale, right, of positive, negative, risk versus reward. It is. The start is obviously the best opportunity to gain positions. It's the closest the last guy is going to be to the pole sitter probably for the entire race. So, yeah, if an opening comes in and you think you can take it, you go for it. This particular part of the racetrack, and again, it's happening with the rookie drivers further back. If you literally look at the drivers that were involved in that incident, other than Siegel, who came at the very end of it and just couldn't get through, all rookie drivers. Not the place to make a move, especially if you're further back. You have to know the drivers around you. Literally trying to make that area where you're probably too wide, they're trying to go 3 wide. You can't do it. It's literally a low-risk maneuver. Better to back out of it. And again, the guys that are paid for that incident were, of course, Vodanovich and Evans, who had the contact. Trey Burke and Kent Vaccaro, not their fault at all. They just got caught up in the incident that happened in front of them.
But that part of the track has now been cleared. The steps, tow trucks are making their way around to return those cars to the paddock area and get them to the teams as quickly as possible so they can begin to make repairs. They'll be racing again later on this afternoon, hopefully. If those repairs can be made, we'll be seeing the USF 2000 cars back on track again for their second race of the day, coming up a little bit later on, and they have got some work to do to get ready for their second event of the day at 5:20 p.m. This afternoon. So hopefully we'll get these cars back out on course now quickly, and we can resume, and it'll be close, but I think we can get all 16 laps in.
I think we may be able to as well, and that's fantastic to be able to get back at it once again. The first of 6 Road to Indy races that you will see here this weekend. In fact, from here, of course, I'll jump down to Tatis Victory Lane. We'll do the celebrations with the top 3 drivers, but then essentially as soon as I'm done there, I'm throwing back up to you because we've got Indy Pro 2000, and their first race is coming up right after that.
And now you hope that the Indy Pro 2000 drivers have also been watching the start of this race, and it will be a reminder from their teams to say, this is what can happen at the start. This is the concern that we always have. This is the concern we have to watch for. Make sure you do not put yourself in a bad position out on the racetrack.
And for the most part, Indy Pro 2000 drivers are in their second, third, fourth year on the road to Indy as well. We do have a couple of rookie drivers here that will be crossing our fingers are able to get through the opening lap cleanly. But again, 4 laps in the books. They brought the cars down to pit lane. Red flag, as Todd had said, a 40-minute time limit for this race. We hope to get back to green here momentarily. We saw the cars being brought back into pit lane, and then at that point being able to fire things back up. Drivers, of course, getting ready to refire, talking to their engineers and strategists on the radio. This is also the time to press the reset button on the mindset as well, because they were gung-ho and ready. They've been waiting all morning to go racing. Obviously, a lot of pent-up excitement there. Drivers further in the back having some issues. Otherwise, now they've got to refocus on getting the job done. It will be a single-file restart. Christian Brooks will lead them around, and, of course, he'll be the first to punch off when they come out at turn number 14. His teammate Matt Round-Garrido right behind him, P2 in the 92. Michael D'Orlando out of Hartsdale, New York for Cape Motorsports in third in the number 4. Josh Green from Mount Kisco, New York in the number 33 for Turn 3 Motorsports in 4th spot. And Yuvan Sooner-Murthy out of Wisconsin, P5.
Yellow flag being waved now at the start-finish line. The red flag has been lifted, so we will be releasing these cars from pit lane back out on track, and hopefully just one quick lap around, and then we'll return back to some green flag action to get the maximum number of laps in this first of 2 USF 2000 races. We'll have to get going. And as you mentioned, everybody's now had a few minutes to sit on pit lane, hopefully settle the nerves down just a little bit, and we're ready to go. This should be a single file restart this time as well, make it a little easier to get through corners 1, 2, and around the rest of the track.
Championship standings coming into the event. Prescott Campbell with a first and a second at Barber Motorsport Park with a 12-point lead over Josh Pearson and Yuvan Sooner-Murthy. Those drivers from Pabst Racing. Prescott Campbell from D-Force Racing. Nolan Siegel is 4th coming in. This DNF is going to be tough for Nolan Siegel. Christian Brooks, P5. A couple of top 5 finishes at Barber, but up front right now. Again, we'll continue to watch that the point battle as we get going here. I believe as they run on the racetrack, it'd be a 1-point lead. So if Christian Brooks can grab a victory here, it's definitely going to blow things wide open again in the championship. But as Todd had said, and I mentioned earlier, single file restart. They'll put lap number 5 in the books when they get back around the first time at speed. But good to have the drivers back on. There they are clearing through the incident scene now. That corner that comes down into turns 8 and 9. So that wasn't quite 8. Now there's the 8, exit of 8. So indeed it was on the entry to turn number 8. Gets kind of tight coming through there. So kind of a little bit of a kickback as they come through turns 6 and 7. Just a little bit of a kickback, and that's where it really tightens up, and that's where the incident occurred. Those drivers are able to get through unscathed. 20 of them left, I believe. Yeah, 20 drivers of the 26 left out of turn number 10. Go in the hands of Christian Brooks, second-year driver here for Exclusive Autosport. His teammate Matt Round-Garrido right behind him. And we'll get ready to go back to racing. 40-minute time limit, as we said. Clock back rolling once again. And coming out of turn number 14, the hairpin, we're back at it. Green, green, green is a tremendous start for Christian Brooks. His spotter will be telling him he's got lots of room going into turn number 1. That'll be key. Running the full wide line, not having to run a defensive entry at all. They're through cleanly thus far. There's some potential contact there coming through turn number 3. Yeah, driver upside down and in the wall. We have contact coming through turn number 3. I want to say that, not quite sure which driver it is this point, but we have a driver upside down into turn number 1, and that was an overzealous move from the driver behind. I'm sure we'll get a replay of that momentarily. We'll give him a chance to cue that up, but indeed, not a good start here for USF 2000, and I guarantee you our race director, Joel Miller, will be sitting down with these drivers when we're done here, because that did not need to happen. Driver back at, I think, P4, diving to the inside, and that driver went over. Trying to figure out who that might have been involved there. I think that might have been Michael D'Orlando and Josh Green. Don't want to speculate who's the driver upside down, but I believe that was the battle for 3rd and 4th. And that was just a driver trying to go to the inside, Todd, and there was no room there. There's no way. That was left front to right rear contact, and that's going to go right on the driver in the back.
And that's the problem with your opening up the inside there. You do have to get the car slowed down further to make the sharper corner. And with contact like that, with the left front, right rear, it wound up with the car upside down. The AMR safety team positioned right at corner number 1 as well, quickly on the scene to address the situation and get that problem solved. But now right back to yellow, and this is the frustration that we sometimes find with the USF 2000 series and other series. Is just, it looks like there's an opening, it looks tantalizing because there's some wide open space, but you don't think past the corner. And that's the other part with the drivers, is you have to be able to complete the corner and a pass if you're trying to make it happen.
And I'll say this, start of the season, right? And those are drivers we've had here, but those are sophomore drivers for sure. That should not have happened up front. Let's have a look at the replay of this incident. Again, down to turn 1, both of the exclusive Autosport drivers coming through cleanly. There's Christian Brooks coming clean. There's Matt Roungarito, and coming to the inside, that is indeed the driver, Michael D'Orlando, going over, and it was Josh Green. They were teammates last year at Cape Motorsports. Strong contact into the wall, and that roll hoop doing a good job there for Michael D'Orlando. He's one of the tallest guys in the paddock, too. So, indeed, the incident happening with, again, Josh Green trying to go down to the inside. Now, I called that coming through. We had this shot of it live, and that just did not need to happen. He was trying to go to the inside, didn't back out enough, and left front to right rear contact is definitely going to go to Josh Green. I'm sure he'll get a call to the steward's office when this is all said and done.
Green realized the error of his ways, but too late to do anything about it. The contact was inevitable at that point. He saw a little bit of an opening up the inside, but there was no way he was going to make that move. Looks like that car has been positioned up on its wheels at the end. They'll need another Steps towing vehicle to get it moved off the track, and we can hopefully get back to green flag racing, get as much green flag action as we can going on here. But looks like everyone's okay coming out through that area. These cars super safe, super tough, even for a rollover situation like that.
Indeed, we actually have an upgraded roll hoop for the 2020 season, our 2021 season. We'll have a brand new tub next year. We're going to have the halo on these cars next year, but an upgraded tub. We also, if you look at the cars, we have a front piece right in front of the driver, which is essentially any kind of debris coming at them will deflect that away from the drivers. We'll go to the halo next year. New tubs coming, as I said. But listen, we just had a couple issues there. The first issue was a rookie mistake further back. To have that happen up front right now with a couple of veteran drivers, hate to see that, because literally when we were here last fall, I want to say we went green to checker in both of our USF 2000 races. Not so lucky here. It's going to be a timed race. But thankfully, with a timed event, our drivers are going to get the laps they want. They're going to get time on the racetrack. That's key for the drivers here on the road to Indy.
We saw, even though it was a single file restart this time, the same sort of get up as close as you can to the competitor in front of you. It was just a single file line this time, and Josh Green got a little bit overzealous trying to make that move and get himself an extra position right off the start into corner number 1. It is probably the best passing zone out on the track. Corner number 1, you have the long front straightaway and the ability to jump to the inside, but you have to be able to make that clear.
You have to be side by side with the driver in that corner. Like literally, if you're not fully side by side with the driver, even almost before him going into turn 1, he's going to beat you to turn number 2. You have to get a pass done in turn number 1. You have to be almost all the way by before you turn in, because he's going to be able to run the outside. and then pinch you when you get to turn number 2.
Because on the inside, even though you're alongside, you have to run slower through that corner, and it doesn't give you as much drive off, and then the advantage shifts back.
And you got to brake earlier as well, because you're coming into that corner. It's really, really dirty down there. You got to brake earlier, because to make the corner, you have to have a slower entry speed. So there's so many factors in the equation of making the pass in turn number 1. That was ill-fated from the very beginning. Josh Green just did not have position to be able to hold that spot. But what that does is brings Euban Sundaramurthy up into second. Billy Fraser now up into the third spot. Kiko Porto goes to fourth. Somehow Prescott Campbell, who is outside the top 10, is now up in to the sixth position. Josh Pearson, seventh. Eighth is Miles Rowe. Ninth is Spike Kohlbecker. And Bajoy Garg now up into the top 10.
An illustration of being able to finish will help you, and you'll benefit from others' misfortune and having issues. You must get to the finish line to have any sort of success. And early on, a couple of caution periods with significant carnage in the cars has allowed Billy Fraser, perhaps the best example, to move up. He was able to jump up a little bit on the initial start, but now has benefited as well, moving up to the fourth position.
Yeah, Billy started in the 8th spot, the driver out of New Zealand. We'll talk a lot about the Toyota Racing Series, which runs in January and February, a really concerted program down in New Zealand. We'll have a number of drivers who have come from the road to Indy. They go down there to New Zealand in the offseason. They get a really good opportunity to do some racing in the tremendous cars they have there. We have 2 drivers coming back this way. In fact, 3 in total. Spike Kohlbecker ran back in 2020 before the COVID-19 shut things down. And then, of course, as well, Peter Vodanovich and Billy Fraser from the Toyota Racing Series joining us here for the 2021 season. Pace car is ducked on off. Green flag once again. A good jump start there for Christian Brooks. We may see a battle here right now for P3 as Billy Fraser lining up to try to find a way by Euban Sundaramurthy down the front straightaway. Fraser trying the outside of Sundaramurthy, who went on the defense as they come out of turn number 2 over to turn number 3. We'll see if Fraser's gone to P3. If he has, that could be an exclusive Autosport 1, 2, 3. Right now, it's Christian Brooks as the leader. Matt Round-Garrido into second. And again, underway. Yeah, indeed. That's Fraser through. Prescott Campbell now going to work on Sundaramurthy as well, as he's getting attacked by both Porto and Prescott Campbell. Well, trying to get this opening lap in. Drivers running hopefully cleanly here to see if we can't put a couple laps, string a couple together. And this is the field coming through turns number 8 and 9. Back to the tail of the field. That was Thomas Naveau, Grant Palmer, and Eli Navarro. Remember, Navarro, a big wreck yesterday in the final qualifying session. He's okay. They got the car back together, and he is back on the racetrack. So good to see Eli back out here behind the wheel.
Everybody making their way around the back part of the course now, so far smoothly, nose to tail. Did have the one change of position. It looks like Billy Fraser trying to make the move on Euban Sundaramurthy, but we are going to complete this lap, Green, and continue to race. And it looks like those 2 teammates are starting to stretch out a little bit from the third-place runner.
Well, that's not surprising. Front-running drivers out comfortably as the lead group. Able to get that open track. They're not racing each other. Remember, Matt Round-Garrido's not trying to fight Christian Brooks. Billy Fraser able to get by. Sundaramurthy has been pushed back down again now. So we'll move Sundaramurthy back down to the 6th position. Here comes the lead crew through. That's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Fraser, Porto, Campbell, and Sundaramurthy. Good 3-driver battle back there again between Grant Palmer. Now it's Jackson Lee, Thomas Naveau, and Eli Navarro.
This is the kind of racing that we were hoping to see even more of through this event, is the good, close competition. You may have a couple of cars battling for position, but you will see that throughout the field, whether it's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Nice move by Prescott Campbell, who's moved up as well from his 10th starting spot into the top 5 now. But you will see fights throughout the field for positions of 2, 3, and 4 cars. Yeah,
Euban Sundaramurthy trying to get himself settled back down. Remember, he was up there in P3 after that restart. Billy Fraser was able to get by. And when you get past, you know, Todd, you end up being on the wrong part of the racetrack. He was on the inside trying to defend. Fraser went around the outside. Then he pushes wide. That allows Porto to come in. Really kind of got beat up a little bit there by Porto and Campbell getting a way through. But again, up front now, 7/10 of a second lead for Christian Brooks. Matt Round-Garrido runs second. Damage there for the number 11 of Prescott Campbell. If you saw him come through, damage to that front wing. The left side of that front wing hanging down. So Campbell potentially having some trouble. Now that's going to give him a bit of an issue in some of these quicker corners, Todd. He won't have that front downforce. The air's not going to flow as it needs to be as he rolls right back there. This is where we saw the incident before. This is turn number 6 and 7, the little 7 kink back to turn number 8. There's Grant Palmer. Still the battle there between Jackson Lee and Eli Navarro. There's the damage again for Prescott Campbell. It's going to hurt as well coming through turns number 12 and 13. Super quick right-left flick.
Even though these USF 2000 cars are the least sophisticated of the Road to Indy cars, those wings are important, both front and back, and you can see that wing is askew significantly on that right front, and it will have a big impact on Prescott Campbell making his way through. So the leaders come back across the finish line again. See if that is increased, and yes, there is a little bit of an increase from first to second. Brooks now leads by nearly 9/10 of a second.
Yeah, I think Euban Sooner early ready to line up and try to see if he can't get a by Prescott Campbell. Not quite able to do it. But you talk about the downforce on the cars. You've heard it with IndyCar. Downforce, of course, measured in weight and pounds of downforce. As you work your way up the road to Indy, we just keep piling on that downforce. It's really not, the new car, the new USF 17, not a ton of downforce on this car because we didn't want it to have as much aero wash, more mechanical grip than downforce. There still is enough to have that aero wash, but not quite as much, so the drivers still have to be able to hustle the car around. Good battle here right now for P3. Kiko Porto will start on pole for race number 2 later on today. He's hounding Billy Fraser. That's them right there. They've been able to develop that gap over Euban Sooner and Murthy. But Todd, I think we got a good fight for P3.
I certainly do. Kiko Porto, who's had some success, and Billy Fraser has done nicely to move up so far, but he is feeling the heat now. Kiko Porto, who showed speed, as you mentioned, going to start on the pole later on today in the second USF 2000 race that will take place here on the streets of St. Petersburg later on this afternoon. Oh, we have a car going off in corner number 13.
That's Prescott Campbell. Prescott Campbell straight off the racetrack in turn number 14. That is your point leader, trying to get the car woed up down to the hairpin, and he has gone straight off. You have to figure the front downforce potentially on that wing. And here's the fight still going on for P3. We haven't gone full course yellow yet. 12 laps in. And right now, I expect we'll go full course yellow here momentarily as Campbell has powered it into the tires on the exit of turn number 3. Still looking down at start finish. I do not see Aaron Likens bringing out the double yellow at this point. Drivers fighting for position here. We may go full course. Indeed, we are. Full course yellow for Prescott Campbell. Point leader off the racetrack in turn number 14. And when you're thinking about championship, we don't talk about it early in the season, but man, Prescott running there on the top 5. That damage to the left front of the wing. Here's the replay of the issue. Coming down into turn number 14. He was just got past potentially, locking it up, rolling into the corner, and straight off. You can see the front wing is already fully damaged. Like to me, that front wing may have already given up. And I think that at that point, I think Sooner, Murthy, and Pearson had already gotten by. I have a feeling that wing was probably already done. Zero front downforce. You get into that corner hoping to have that front grip, which is, of course, played by that front wing, and to have no turn or no downforce. He gets on the brakes, and he ain't going to stop. Let's watch it in real time and think about being behind the wheel. Straight into the corner, super quick, straight off. Couldn't get the car woed up enough. Great to have all those tires at the end of that straightaway through the gravel trap as well.
Absolutely, slows the car down. Just a light hit against the tires, and the AMR safety crew once again out. Third, full course caution. The first one, of course, with a red flag situation. We will not complete all 20 laps, but we'll try and get this car, Prescott Campbell, cleared out as quickly as possible to resume. It is still Christian Brooks out front, but Matt Ground-Garrido in second. But Billy Fraser has moved forward. He now owns the third position. Kiko Porto fourth. Euban Sooner Murthy is the top 5.
This is really uncharacteristic of our USF 2000 drivers to have this many incidents. Even though we normally start the season here at St. Petersburg, there are times we'll have an issue here and there, but I don't remember the last time that we had 4 caution periods in a USF 2000 race. I mean, in years. It's been a while. This track, of course, pretty tough. We saw the incident early. A couple of drivers have had some issues. And that one was almost bound to happen. You're wondering how long Prescott Campbell was going to be able to hold. If that front wing eventually actually gave up, as it did, that's a tough corner. You're carrying so much speed out of turn number 10, Todd. That quick flick through turns 12 and 13, you're literally almost kissing the walls on both sides. Once you get into that braking zone, he's not going to know that the wing is gone or has broken sideways already. He's just putting the brakes on like he normally does. And at that point, with no front wing, you're on the brakes, and man, this thing's not slowing down.
And you're the passenger. That's exactly. You have no idea when that front wing is going to let go. You're hoping that it will hang on for the duration, and you can battle through it to get to the end. But if it lets go, then you are simply holding on and hoping that the car woes down as quickly as possible. Sandtrap did the work. The tires did the work. Prescott Campbell slowed up, but we're under yellow again, and looks like we will be for a little bit yet.
Yeah, one of the biggest battles we saw just before we went to the yellow there was the fight between Billy Fraser and the Cambridge Global Payments number 91 exclusive Autosports machine. The Kiwi going at it with the Brazilian Kiko Porto. Again, Kiko, winner here last year in the final round. He won the opening end of the doubleheader. He'll be P1 when we get started this afternoon. That was a good fight for P3. Fraser trying to hold him back. They've got the things cleaned up. They got him out of the way. Super close there, and we're back at it. Throttle down for Christian Brooks. Another great start. 13 laps down, 14 in the books this time by. No, 13 laps in the books. 7 more laps to go. Not sure really where we are on the time count at this point. Got to think we're getting close. Potentially 6 minutes left on the clock here. Good start there for Christian Brooks to get back out into the position. Matt Round-Garrido in the second spot. Everybody single file. No one making any aggressive moves. Here's the pass potentially further back. Nope, not going to happen. Thomas Naveau trying to find a way by Andre Castro. Top 10 has Brooks as your leader. Round-Garrido second. Fraser third. Porto fourth. And Sundar-Murthy in fifth. Josh Pearson runs sixth. Miles Rose seventh. Spike Kohlbecker eighth. Bejoy Garg ninth. And Dylan Christie in 10th. Top rookie on the racetrack, Billy Fraser for exclusive Autosport, as they now run 1, 2, 3. Brooks, the leader.
You want as much green flag racing as possible, too, not just because it's great for us to watch and see the action all around the track, but this is when an enormous amount of learning takes place for these young drivers on their racecraft. How to set up a pass, how to set up a competitor to make a complete pass, and you get that by running green flag laps, knowing how to complete a pass and use your skills with the car to move forward.
You know, Todd, even more crucial for a track that we're not able to come to and test on, right? We got more issues further back. That was a battle there. I want to say, I think Sundar-Murthy's gone through to P3. Billy Fraser had an issue. Kiko Porto was able to get to the position on the inside. He went to the inside of turn number 1, pushed wide on the exit. Fraser's been able to get back through, I think. I think Sundar-Murthy was able to get back to the bottom. Sundar-Murthy is through. That's Josh Pearson now into the fight. So Porto made a move to the inside of Fraser down into turn number 1. He goes wide. Fraser has to check up down to the inside. A good veteran move for Sundar-Murthy, so move him back to P3. Fraser to 4th. Man, a lot of action here. Porto back in behind Fraser. He's in 5th position now. Some great action late in the race. But again, like I said, we don't get to test here. So every lap is crucial for next year. I know you're thinking about what's happening now, here, in this particular race. But you got to think about what you're going to do next year as well.
That's the important part in the big picture thinking that teams have to emphasize with their drivers as well, to get as much track time as you can, get as much green flag racing as you can. Yes. Leaders coming across the line, it's Christian Brooks, Matt Round-Garrido, and Yuban Sundar-Murthy has moved up into that 3rd position. Billy Fraser falls back 1. Kiko Porto, the top 5.
Yeah, Yuban Sundar-Murthy able to pull away quite a bit there, getting through, because everybody kind of got caught up. When you make that kind of pass down into 1, everybody else has got to check up. And you really, once you're on the throttle in turn number 1 out of turn 1, Todd, you're not lifting again until you get back into turn 4 right here. And here's the battles further back. A couple of guys dicing it out. Man, throw everybody in there. That's Kohlbecker, Garg, Christie, Denmark, Castro. That's the fight from essentially, I want to say, 8th on back to probably 12th. And you see them here all lining up right now behind Josh Pearson. He's in the 6th position. Rose 7th. Kohlbecker 8th. Garg 9th. This is some tremendous action. This is when the drivers have to be smart. 5 laps remaining. Again, we'll go right down to Tatis Victory Lane after this one. Oh, contact coming out of turn number 10. Driver into the wall. One of the J. Howard driver development cars. I'm going to say that's potentially Bejoy Garg. And that's going to end this, I would expect. So that's some pretty hard contact. Bejoy Garg, I believe, off the racetrack in turn 10. One of the J. Howard driver development cars. I don't know if there was contact there. Looking down at live timing, looking back up, and all of a sudden, chaos again.
we've seen issues at corner number 10 and a couple of other sessions through this weekend early on. Drivers missing that corner, going and having some contact with the outside wall.
Michael Myers involved as well, yeah.
Yeah, the 42 of Michael Myers just arriving on pit lane, and that front wing askew. You may have seen those two have come together, but corner 10 jumps out and bites another driver this weekend.
I'll tell you, very uncharacteristic of our USF 2000 program to have 5 yellow flag periods right now. Christian Brooks, the leader, Matt Garrido in second, Yuvan Sooner-Murthy in third, Billy Fraser fourth, and Kiko Porto fifth. Colbecker's going to go up to P5 or P6 rather on that lap, and we'll have a better look. I'm sure that we'll be able to get a replay of this momentarily as the crew back in the truck dials it in for us. All right, let's have a look at what happened here. There's Dylan Christie rolling through. There's, oh, that's contact actually, yeah. Contact. Who was right in front of Nouveau? I'm going to say that's the 23 of Jace Denmark driving into the back of Bajoy Garg. Yeah, that didn't need to happen at all. You can see that was Michael Myers with nowhere to go, trying to find his way through, making contact with the right front. Myers was having a really good run. Bajoy Garg in that number 6. Here's another shot at it here. Yeah, you can see Jace Denmark down to the bottom. That was not Garg's fault at all. Thomas Nouveau somehow sneaking through. And really, yeah, you can see coming through there, Michael Myers couldn't see a thing. He's got the rear wing of Thomas Nouveau's Cape Motorsports car in front of him. He's literally trying to come through. The minute Nouveau goes to the left, there's a race car right in front of him.
And he's the collateral damage in that incident with Garg, who winds up in the wall, who was also an innocent victim because of the contact from behind. And once again, the AMR crew out there, I don't know if we're going to get back to green or not. We're trying to keep and see what's happening as we have a full course yellow once again, but we're reaching almost the time limit now.
Very similar to the incident involved with Michael D'Orlando and Josh Green. Driver trying to make a move to the inside. The pass wasn't done. They have to get out of it. That's Chase Denmark's fault there. Rookie driver diving down the inside. Didn't have the pass done. In another corner, you can't get that pass done unless you're right alongside the driver. It's just too tight on the exit. You have to present yourself because the driver on the outside's got to give it up.
And because the driver on the outside may not know that you were there. If you're up to just to his rear tire, he doesn't know you're there. You've got to be up alongside so that he can see you, and both of you can get through that, hopefully.
Yeah, but Joey Garg was already turning into the corner. There's no way he was there. And probably I would expect Jace had to get up on the curb on the inside a little bit, and that's a pretty heavy curb. What we've done in past replays, guys, is giving you a real time. We've seen the slow-mo. Check out this real-time incident, how fast this was. Boom, quick, boom, into the barriers. Michael Myers, nowhere to go. And hits the right rear. And actually some pretty good evasive maneuvers there as well for guys further back, being able to come through. Josh Green, of course, a couple laps back, able to get back on track at the number 33. And good for Josh because trying to get those points to get back onto the racetrack after, I would believe, probably an issue for him after the incident with he and D'Orlando. So, yeah, time winding down here. We'll see what the race officials decide to do. We may just go yellow to the end of this because they're still cleaning this up. 3 laps still remaining. Not sure where we are in terms on time. As they run on the racetrack, Christian Brooks still with the lead in the number 44. Matt Garrido in the number 92 running in second. Yuvan Sooner-Murthy in third. Billy Fraser fourth, and Kiko Porto rounding out the top 5. Good run for Billy Fraser, top rookie so far. AMR safety team going to try to get that machine of Bajoy Garg cleaned up. Spike Colbecker out of St. Louis for Cape Motorsports with Ignite Autosport running in the 6th spot. Josh Pearson in 7th. 8th is Miles Rowe. 9th, Dylan Christie. And 10th is Andre Castro. Yeah, this has been an interesting event, most definitely. As they run on the racetrack, the driver with the point lead coming in, Prescott Campbell, 3 laps back in 18th position. This could put Christian Brooks into the lead in the points, bumping him up to P1. Actually, he'd be tied with Yuvan Sooner-Murthy as they run on the racetrack right now. So after a couple of top 5s at Barber Motorsports Park, Christian Brooks trying to capitalize here. 2 laps to go. Yellow flag. Still work being done in turn number 10. I don't know that we're going to go back to green.
No, it looks like they'll circulate and complete this one, and it will probably be under yellow in just a little bit. But part of the lessons to be learned for the USF 2000 drivers is surviving towards the end. Some good fortune is always helpful. As you mentioned, Thomas Naveau, who managed to sneak through and get there, but Michael Myers, who ended up having his front wing clipped in this latest incident. But now the reminder again, teams are going to have to go back to work as these competitors have to make these repairs to a lot of cars in the USF 2000 series to get them back and race ready for later on this afternoon.
I think what a lot of people will be disappointed about is, we talk about the learning curve. You run USF 2000 to learn. Ideally, this is not the way you learn. Damage like this, incidents like this, definitely not the way to learn. And I have told you, I bet that Josh Green's going to go talk to Joel Miller, our race steward. Jace Denmark Gessel's going to get called to the steward office as well. He didn't have that passed on, and that's an expensive mistake. Not only he made the mistake, and he's not even that damaged. He still runs, I believe, just outside or inside the top 10. It's the mistake. It's the cost for Bajoy Garg, who is no fault of his own, ends up in the wall with some pretty significant damage. That car hit hard, and it's going to be tough for Jay Howard Driver Development to get that guy back out on the racetrack here later on today. Well, I'll tell you this. We're going to come around to get the white flag, so essentially we're done because we're not going to go back to green this time by. I think we've got the finger up, potentially one lap to go. I don't know if we go back because we'd essentially have, unless we're going green-white checker to come back, I don't know. At this point here, they're just getting this area cleaned up. You can see that the AMR safety crew has got the car up on the hook. They'll be able to get Bajoy Garg's car, but you can see it's hanging. It's broken in half right now. The Jay Howard Driver Development crew. Man, number one, they're working on Peter Vodanovich's car. Now they got to work on Bajoy Garg's car. It's going to be a long, long afternoon to see who they can get back out on the racetrack with the two of these cars. You know they're already going to work probably on Peter Vodanovich's car. White flag flying this time by. That tells me that we're going to go checker flag when they come back around. I won't call it till it's done, but essentially, Christian Brooks is going to get this victory. So indeed, Jace Denmark Gessel, they'll be looking at that. He currently runs, I believe, where is he? 6, 7, 8, 9, probably 12th position, 11th for Jace Denmark Gessel. Jace is going to get likely a penalty for that incident there. But as we roll around, an inauspicious beginning to the Road to Indy events. Normally we don't see this many. 5 yellow periods for USF 2000. And many of the incidents involved with the younger drivers. Of course, we did have that one incident with a sophomore. But the freshmen, the rookies, not having a great start here at St. Petersburg.
In addition to a lot of repair work that's going to be done by a number of these teams, there's going to be a lot of conversation, I suspect, between the teams and the drivers and a lot of rethinking. Fortunately, a few hours to reset, perhaps view a little bit of video from this first race for drivers and maybe a few conversations with the stewards as well about discussions about how we approach race number 2. We just hope that all of the repairs can be made, all of the cars can return for our afternoon session a little bit later on in this doubleheader weekend. But circulating around the back part of the course now, looks like Christian Brooks is on his way to an easy victory.
And I'm going to say this, Christian Brooks isn't going to care how it's going to happen, whether he's at speed or under yellow. He gets his first race win of the 21 season. Christian Brooks, Matt Rangarito, and Billy Fraser P4. How about a 1-2-4 for Exclusive Autosport? Checker flag being thrown here at start-finish. Christian Brooks will win. Matt Rangarito in second. Exclusive Autosport 1-2. Euban Sunder-Amurthy ends up fighting his way up to third, taking advantage of the chaos. He'll be in a tie for the points lead now with Brooks. Billy Fraser, top finishing rookie in the 4th position. Kiko Porto in 5th. Porto will start on the pole this afternoon. Spike Kolbecker ends up in 6th position. Josh Pearson in 7th. Miles Rowe 8th. Dylan Christie 9th. And Andre Castro rounding out the top 10. Again, not the way we wanted to see this race go with 5 different yellow periods. A ton of drivers having issues. Only 15 drivers able to go the 20-lap distance. Another handful finishing laps down, and 6 drivers not able to get the race started after the opening lap incident. That's
a lot of cars that are going to have a lot of repairs done. We should remind you again that the Road to Indy paddock is open to festival goers here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. A lot of these USF 2000 teams will be very busy for the next few hours. As you're making your way around the grounds, please again maintain social distancing as best you can. Keep 6 feet away from you from Keep 6 feet away from everyone else, and please ensure that you are wearing those face coverings at all times. There are lots of hand washing stations and hand sanitization stations throughout the grounds. Please make sure that you are taking advantage of those as well. But yes, we have lots to see and do here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. The Firestone Wall, the perfect place for selfies. Use the hashtag FirestoneGP and tag Firestone Racing and at GP St. Pete. Coming to the conclusion of race number 1 of the USF 2000 series this morning, and we will have another one later on this afternoon. The USF 2000 series will be back on track to wrap up our Saturday. Here's a look at the finishing order. Christian Brooks comes up with his first victory. Teammate Matt Round-Garrido. They started 1-2 along the front row. Our initial start, the two of them, the two teammates, worked well together to get through corner number 1. It was a little bit different moving through. Yuvan Sundramurthy, nice to move up from 5th at the start to 3rd. He collects another podium. He was a victor a week ago at Barber Motorsports Park. Billy Fraser started 8th on the grid. He moves up and collects a 4th place finish. And Kiko Porto will round out the top 5. Spike Kohlbecker, Josh Pearson, Miles Rowe, Dylan Christie in the top 9. Here we're looking at 11 through 20. It's Jace Denmark, Thomas Naveau, the Canadian, who moves up as well to a 12th place finish. Grant Palmer, Ellie Navarro, and Jackson Lee, the top 15. Prescott Campbell had that problem with the wing. He was hoping that it would carry on and allow him to finish the race. It didn't. It let go. He went off course through corner number 13. One of the caution periods. Michael Myers collected up in the problem as well of Bejoy Gorg. He had problems, had his front wing damage, had to make a stop along pit road. Josh Green, Bejoy Gorge, Michael DiOrlando round out the top 20. 26 starters here in USF 2000 race number 1. Peter Vodanovich, Eric Evans, Evan Stamer, Trey Burke, Kent Vaccaro, and Nolan Siegel. They were the ones that had issues in the early going, getting collected up on that problem. Headed up towards corner number 8. A multi-car collision brought out a red flag situation that had all the cars stopped on pit road. It was just impossible to clear those vehicles away without red flagging the situation, but it all worked out for Christian Brooks, who comes away victorious with the USF 2000 victory in race number 1. Teammate Matt Round-Garrido finishes 3rd, and it's Yuvan Sundramurthy who comes up with the 3rd place finish. As mentioned, they will be back on track later on this afternoon for their second race of the day. Coming up next, it will be Indy Pro 2000. That race set to go green at just about 11:50 this morning before noontime. Stadium Super Trucks will be with us after the lunch hour. If you didn't catch them yesterday, you will enjoy them very much today. And there you see a happy Christian Brooks, who is climbing out of that car to collect his victory and embrace with his teammate Matt Round-Garrido as the two of them finish 1-2. And Billy Frazier, another terrific teammate run, who moves up from 8th to 4th on the grid. The congratulations coming from all the teammates, even with all of the caution periods, even with all the slow laps, even with the red flag situation, which has drivers stopped on the pit road for a number of laps. You see the enthusiasm of a driver. There is no better feeling than coming up with a race win. No, you don't get to take the checkered flag at speed, but you're happy to do it as the caution flag flies and still enjoy it very much.
Super pumped. I mean, a 1-2 for the team, 1-2-4 actually. Exclusive Autosport gave us a beautiful car. I couldn't have asked for much more. All those restarts though, man, it was tough to keep Matt behind me. I think we had like 4 or 5 restarts, so that's never anything you want from the lead, especially when you're stretching a gap. So just glad we can hang on to it. I was a little nervous there. After restart after restart after restart. I hate that. But we're at St. Pete, and there's 26 cars, so there's bound to be a little bit of carnage, and I was ready for it coming into this race. So just super happy I was able to keep all 4 tires on it and bring it home up front.